Just before midnight of April 27, the government announced adjustments to the ABSD for residential properties. Although there are no changes for Singaporeans and PRs buying their first residential home, the increase is quite brutal for foreigners. Any foreigners who want to buy a residential property now must pay 60% ABSD instead of the previous 30%. If they want to buy the house using the trustee route, the ABSD is even higher at 65%. But the government's message is clear. They are trying to slow down the heated property market and discourage people who want to acquire residential properties for investment purposes. This is evident from the adjustment that is also being applied if Singaporeans or PRs who would like to acquire a second or subsequent residential property needs to pay a little bit more. In this video, I would like to discuss some of the direct and indirect implications of these ABSD changes. For the ultra-rich, given these ABSD changes, I believe we will see more wealthy individuals and families applying for PR via Global Investor Program. They would need to invest at least $10 million in Singapore, but they can save on ABSD when purchasing a residential house. Another route that the ultra-rich can take is instead of buying luxury residential houses, they can opt to park their money in commercial properties such as shops, shop houses, malls, warehouses, etc. Why? Because commercial properties are not subjected to ABSD and it can still be rented out, so it still serves as a form of investment tool for the wealthy. Well, another possibility is that some ultra-rich might just avoid Singapore altogether and buy properties in other countries. Will these ABSD changes help to lower property prices? I do think to some extent it will help to moderate the prices of luxury properties in central areas, but I don't think it will help to moderate HDB resale flat prices at all, which is a concern of many locals, because foreigners cannot buy resale HDB anyway, right? But what I think will happen is the cost to rent will be pushed even further. Why? Well, you need to look at the bigger picture. You already have an existing steady demand from locals who want to move out of their parents' house, but they don't have their own place yet. Plus, you have couples and families who are waiting for their BTO flat so that they have to rent. Then, you also have condo downgraders who are impacted by the previous rule change, where they have to wait for 15 months before they can purchase an HDB resale flat. Unless they can sleep at their family member's house, they would have to rent as well. Although it's 15 months on paper, in reality, most flats require a minimum of 2 years rent. Plus, now with the foreigners' ABSD being astronomically high, don't forget that this also impacts the employment pass holders. Salary-wise, some of them might have enough income to purchase a condo in Singapore, but with ABSD being 60%, most likely they will just continue to rent instead of buying a condo. If the rental cost gets more and more out of control, I wouldn't be surprised if the government will regulate this as well. Why? Because if left to the force of the market, the rental price will be higher, but we might see more and more foreign workers leave the country. This could translate to multinational corporations reducing their footprint in Singapore or even completely moving out to another country. Another trend that I'm anticipating is that HDB upgraders will be more inclined to sell their flat first before purchasing a condo. This is intended so they don't have to fork out more money for ABSD and go through the hassle of applying for remission. This means it will be even more difficult to find a resale HDB with no extension needed because most sellers will expect a free extension. But the recent ABSD increase might be lethal to one particular group that is rarely discussed, which is the expats on local package. These are foreigners on employment pass or S-pass who are hired or transferred to work in Singapore to fill up junior to mid-level positions but have very limited benefits. You see, when we hear the word foreigner, some people associate it with ultra-rich and high-net-worth individuals that can buy a $30 million condo all cash. But that's not the full picture. For budget expats, they typically do not get free housing or a company car, and they have to pay everything from their monthly salary. Based on the current regulation, S-pass holders' salary starts from $3,000, while EP holders' salary starts from $5,000. You might ask, well, why don't they just apply for permanent residency then? For some of them, they do. But The reality is, getting a PR is actually not that easy. If you go to Singapore expats online forums, there are quite a lot of stories about people who are being rejected. On their official website, ICA noted that they consider many factors to determine someone's PR application, so it's not just about their income. You might think, well, not my problem lah if some angmo cannot get PR. Well, not yet. Imagine this scenario where we have a budget expat family where the husband's salary is around $13,000 a month and the wife is not working, plus they have 2 kids. Let's say they are renting a condo for $4,000 a month. Because they are not a PR, it's more difficult for the kids to enter local schools, so they have to be enrolled in an international school. Let's say for each kids, the school fee is about $3,000 a month. Times 2, that's already $6,000 a month. That means, in total, they already spent $10,000 a month just for housing and school. That's not including other expenses such as transportation, groceries, insurance, etc. You might ask, well, why doesn't the wife just work then? You see, the current regulation requires dependent pass holders to apply for a work permit if they want to work for a company in Singapore. They can no longer simply request a letter of consent like in the past. But employers are limited by a quota on how many foreigners they can hire depending on the industry, and they also have to pay a monthly levy as well. Simply said, it's just much cheaper to hire Singaporeans or PRs. All of a sudden, that $13,000 salary feels a bit tight, doesn't it? Although such salary is significantly higher than the average Singaporean salary, but expats tend to have higher expenses as well. Combined with the climbing flat rental rate, these budget expats are getting squeezed. They might move out of their condo rentals and look to rent an HDB flat instead. This means higher demands for HDB rentals and pushes the price even higher. Another trend that I'm predicting is that some of such budget expats will then move out of Singapore due to the high living expenses. On one end, yes, this opens an opportunity for locals to fill up those positions. But if we are talking about multinational companies that have different branches throughout the globe, they can just assign someone overseas to work where possible, or worse, the company might pack out and leave Singapore completely. If this happens on a bigger scale, and this wave of mass exodus is happening, then gradually you will see lower demands for home rentals. This means Singaporean landlords will also struggle to find tenants. Plus, Singaporeans that work for those companies who are moving out might be let go. And if there are fewer job opportunities and the unemployment rate rises, it can cause a serious recession. But I'm sure the government is carefully monitoring this and the regulations might be adjusted depending on the situation. So what do you think about the recent ABSD changes? Do you think it will help to moderate the housing prices? Or do you think the government should do more? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!